Hey guys, it's Cameron Rhodes with the Guided Trip Fly Fishing Podcast. Just want to thank everybody for listening and make sure to follow us on Instagram at The Guided Trip or check out our webpage, www.theguidedtrip.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you enjoy. The Guided Trip. The church that I go to is the river. I go there to wash everything away.
I wish you were there drinking rum, crying your little eyes out. This fly that my Uncle Jimmy and my grandpa perfected, they found the materials to tie it in the back of a taxi down in Andros. They just tell you to bring gotchas. Don't bring anything else.
When I was out there on the water with people, I can feel the energy of other people, and I care about it.
I think that's one of the most crucial parts of fly fishing that often gets overlooked.
You know, we're jet lagged, lack of sleep, we're half drunk. Holding on to your nuts with one hand, you're holding on to the boat with the other hand.
Shitting in tall cotton, dude.
Man, this is what's going on in the world right now. You know, you're on a boat fishing down a beautiful river.
Be deliberate with everything that you do with fly fishing.
Yeah. Well, what do you do on your days off? I'm on this boat. I'm rowing people down the river trying to figure out what's fishing. But I love it. I wouldn't change it for anything.
I wouldn't trade it, man. It's awesome.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Guided Trip Fly Fishing Podcast. On this episode today, we're going to be talking about a tough subject at times for most of us, I would say. But this subject was brought to me by one of my good friends, Shane Garapi, and we were just discussing some podcast topics here and there, and he wanted me to touch on this because we all go through it, but it is the motivation to go fish when it's hard to find motivation. Everyone feels it. I feel it. And so I'm just going to talk about the way I get through it at times and how I cope with that and getting that motivation to go fish. And it seems simple, you know, hey, go fish. That's the best way, you know, and it's great to go fish. Everyone sits there and go, well, how do you lose motivation to go fish? But people do, you know, it's that time of year you get the winter blues a little bit. And so I'm going to discuss finding that motivation. So let's go ahead and jump into that just a tad here. All right, so I mentioned winter, you know, and just kind of getting the winter blues. And I fully believe that to an extent. You know, everybody gets the winter blues and you know, kind of shacks up inside and just doesn't want to get out. It's colder weather, you know, the fishing's tough, and so it can be a lot harder to get that motivation. And, you know, not all of us are fortunate enough to go travel the world and go find warmer weather. You know, even where I'm at here in Texas, you know, it's still cold at times, you know, and last night it was, you know, it dropped close to 30 degrees, and today it's windy and, you know, 40 degrees. And so, I mean, you can't go fish every day, you know, and so you can't always escape that weather and get to those warmer climates. So, you know, I definitely believe in that winter blues type of thing, and it's tough to get out of. So I'm just going to start with, you know, something that happened to me the other day and, you know, how I got myself through it a tad. You know, I woke up I wanted to go fish. I had every intention to go fish, and it was just, I worked a late night, and I, you know, woke up and I was tired and groggy and just couldn't quite get moving. And I really wanted to go, you know, I wanted to, but it was just tough for me to get moving. And I'm sure everybody, you know, knows that feeling. And, you know, I look outside, it's windy and a little cloudy, and I keep second guessing myself, you know, every minute. Do I go? You know, should I go? And you know, you sit there and you keep second guessing yourself, and by the end of it, you're just losing time, right? You know, and again, I kept looking outside. It keeps looking like it's getting windier, but it wasn't quite cold outside. You know, it was maybe 65 or so, and I'm sitting there going, man, I need some sun. I was going to go carp fishing, and so I was like, man, I need some sun. I won't be able to see these fish, and I mean, I had every excuse in the book to not go fishing. Deep down inside, I wanted to go fishing. So how did I work through this and end up going fishing? Well, years ago, someone had told me, kind of during this winter blues session, that if you have a hard time getting out of bed or whatever, get moving in the day, you got to start out by just doing one thing. And it's a trickle-down effect, and you do one thing, and then you can move on to the next task and do another thing. And so that one thing was, if you couldn't get out of bed, it was, all right, well, make your bed. Get up and make your bed. And then all of a sudden you could do one more thing after that. You could do the dishes and then do this. And all of a sudden you start, just moving and doing stuff and getting things done. And so I take that into fly fishing a bit. And, I'm sitting there on the couch, I got Netflix on. I'm sitting here going, man, I should be out fishing, but I just can't get going. So I started thinking about that theory, hey, let's just do one thing, and then I can keep going from there. If I just do one thing to start moving, then maybe I can get myself to go fish. So I just bought some new line the other day for my 6-weight, and I was like, all right, well, this is perfect. I'll, break out my reel, I'll strip off my old line, I'll put some new line on. So I sat down and I did just that. I took my line off and I put new line on. It was simple as that. And all of a sudden I start thinking about it. I'm like, oh man, it'll be really fun to fish some new line. And that was just one thing. And it started to get me a little bit more amped to go fish. And I started to convince myself I was going to go fishing. I need to go fishing. I need to get up and go. And so just by doing that one thing, it led to another thing. I went out to my truck and, I put the new line on my rod. I got everything rigged up. There's one more thing. Boom. All right, now I go and load up my kayak. All right, cool. I'm going. My kayak's on the truck, and I'm still sitting there. I'm going, man, it's still pretty windy. It's cloudy. Just second guessing still the whole way. So next thing I did was I packed a lunch. I was like, all right, once I pack a lunch, I got to go. I'm not going to put this back in the fridge. I'm going to go once I pack a lunch. So I did that, and all of a sudden, I'm out the door. I'm in the truck. I'm driving. Even when I'm driving, I'm sitting there going, man, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. And I knew, like, all right, one more thing. I just got to get there. Once I get there, then I can make the decision if the water's too churned up or trashed, or it's not safe in a kayak or whatever. I start thinking, all right, well, let's just get there and then I'll figure it out from there. So I get there and I'm looking at it and I go, I'm here, I might as well. And I broke out the kayak and paddled up to this area I wanted to go check out, and all of a sudden I start seeing fish and getting into fish, and I end up having a great day. I'm going to do another podcast about that, fly fishing for some carp, but that all it took was just sitting down and starting with one thing. I know this sounds dumb, and I'm not a therapist or anything trying to help you, get moving and get motivated and get out of your slump or whatever, but this is just what I do. And, this can get a hold of a lot of people at times, just not wanting to get up and get out. And so that one thing, just sitting down doing that line, led to another thing. And it kept snowballing into other things. And that helped me to get out and go fish and have one of the best days I've had carp fishing out here so far. And I use that, I use that a lot when I'm doing stuff, even tying. It's like, all right, well, let's start with one thing. I need to tie bugs today, but I'm having trouble getting motivated. Okay, well, I just got some new material. Let's go look at my new material. Let's sit down at the vise for a minute and look at it. You just start doing one thing and it starts to snowball into something, and it helps you out and gets you moving, gets you motivated to go. And that's one of the biggest things for me, is to just start with that one little thing. And it doesn't have to be big, just start somewhere to get you going. All right, so the next thing I'm going to start thinking about, to get me up, get me moving, is why. Why do I want to go fish? I guess my motives, come from motivation. What motivates you to go fish? Obviously your first answer should be fun. Fishing should be fun. Excuse me. Fishing should be fun. So that's a great motive to have, to get up and go fish. It's fun. It's a good time. Next, I start kind of working down the list of why I want to go fish, or almost need to go fish. I most of the time always need to go fishing, but if I start kind of, making certain motives my priorities, then I start to realize why I need to go out and fish. It's just the way I do it. But, if let's say I want to go out trout fishing, then, obviously that's my big line of work. And so that's a huge motive for me to go fish, is because it is my job and I need to know about these fish and know how to catch these fish and, just kind of hone my skills, keep my skills up a little bit. And as a guide, I want to be fishing as much as possible so I can be better as a guide. And so that's one of my big motives is the work. It's my job. Another one I think about too is just I want to be good at it. I want to be really good at fishing. Not for, Instagram or Facebook or, social media, but I want to be good because I want to be good. And I want to prove that I'm good, not just for myself, but to others on the water with me, with my clients, and make it known that, hey, I know what I'm doing. I can do this. I can teach you how to do it. And I know my craft and I hone my craft. And so just, it's self-driven at times. I want to keep doing it because I want to be the best I can possibly be at fishing, whether it's trout fishing or carp fishing or red fishing or whatever it is I'm doing, just fishing in general. I want to be out there and be good at it. And so that keeps me coming out there, and growing, and learning about the sport, learning about different fish and different fisheries. And so that's a big motive for me to get out there too, is just, I start to think in my head, hey, I want to be good at this, so I need to continue to do it. If I don't continue to do it, then I'm not going to get any better at it. And so that's a big one to get me up and get me out of the house, is start thinking about myself, and go, oh man, if you don't do this, you're not going to be as good as you were, or you're not going to be as good as you want to be if you don't get out there and go fish. So that's a big one for me, figure out that, your motives and why you want to go. Another good one for me is clearing my head. I go out there to clear my head a little bit and just fish, and, maybe I'm not working that day and I'm not trying that hard that day, and I just want to go out there and clear my head and just have some fun. And so that might be a big motive too, just going out and just clearing your head and, thinking about some things and just, have fun, have a good time. Another motive, a lot of people have to go fish is just boredom. They're bored. And that's a great motive to get you up and get you moving too. If you're sitting around being a bum and sitting on the couch watching Netflix like I was the other day, and just kind of bored, then that's a great motive to get up and get out there and go fish. All right, so another great way to get motivated is to make plans with a buddy to go fish, make plans with a friend. If I make solid plans to go fish with a friend or buddy, I am 100% more likely to go fish. I'm not going to let somebody down. I'm not going to not show up. I'm not going to bail on them last minute. So that helps a lot too when you start getting down and it's hard to get out and go fish. You make some plans with a friend, and that way, you have to keep them and you have to go fish. And sometimes that brings up some inspiration and gets you feeling better, and then you want to get out and fish more. Maybe you have a great day on the water fishing, or just a great day in general hanging out with your friend. And so I use that a lot too, or if somebody asks me to go fish, I'll definitely make plans if I'm, and go fish with them. and that helps to kind of get you out of that slump as well, or at least get me out of that slump. And sometimes it's just what I need, get out on the water with a good friend. And again, it might not even be about the fishing. It might just be hanging out on the water and the camaraderie and, just kind of catching up, talking about life, whatever. And that helps a lot. And so I use that, quite often. That's a big one for me to help get me out, get me out fishing. So, if you're struggling like that, make some plans, ask somebody to go fish. And I do a lot of fishing on my own, alone. And, sometimes it's just what you need is to get out with somebody. And so don't hesitate to make plans. That'll help you get motivated to go fish for sure. All right. So if you have the winter blues and you're struggling to get motivated, hopefully use some of these tactics that I've addressed here to get you up and get you moving. Take it one step at a time, do one little thing, get you going for fishing. Organize your fishing bag. One little thing. Put some new fly line on like I did, and that'll help you out a little bit. Next one I mentioned was prioritize your motives and understand why you want to go fish or why you need to go fish. And then make plans with a buddy. Always helps me. So if you are feeling that way, you're not the only one out there. Sometimes it's tough to get motivated and tough to get going. And so hopefully these will help you out and help get you going. And I want to thank you guys for listening to the Guided Trip Fly Fishing Podcast. Again, check out the website, www.theguidedtrip.com. You can email us, theguidedtrip@gmail.com, or find us on Instagram @theguidedtrip. So thanks guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode of The Guided Trip.